use cover my replay points. Those are the two that I always focus on first. Those are the ones I prioritize. And then from there, we go and take a look at what I've got in my pile to figure it out.
Unless you're not abusing his mod powers.
I mean, Puddin', how many... You have subscribed so much, and it's like once every 3 or 4 months do you send me a replay. So, you know.
I try to get those ships we don't see a lot of.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it may be a Bama Super Tots, but it's still a Bama.
It is still a Bama. TreeSock, is there a death pick in this game?
No.
Okay, so it's good that I took a screenshot here then to start us off. Excellent. Okay. All right then. So, well, the Montpelier, it looks to you like a Cleveland because guess what? It's basically a Cleveland. There are a couple of changes between her and the actual Cleveland. Off the top of my head, I can't remember what they are. Reload is one.
Yeah.
So range is the other?
It's the reload and dispersion.
Reload and dispersion, okay.
If I remember correctly, the Montpelier has a little bit better dispersion while having a slightly longer reload.
Yeah. I would say that's probably the right way of looking at it. Okay, so, but other than that, it's a Cleveland, right? So it's got the radar, it's got the hydro, it's got the defensive anti-air fire, etc., etc. Oh, you're divvied up with Eddy, okay.
Just with a cooler weeb camo.
Yes, and you know, and we also see Halsey's pennant up there, so you've got Halsey. Cool, so that solves one of the questions I was going to ask you in a moment. Anyways, I can plug that in on the build viewer. All right, so let's go here. And let's take a look at how your builds are set up here. So with your Montpelier, you've got main battery, mod 1, and damage control system, aiming system, propulsion, and concealment. Okay, couple of things that I'm curious about. The big one is damage control. Why do you have damage control instead of... Well, I mean, you could put radar mod, sure, but at the very least, I would probably run engine room.
Yeah, generally for me is if my engine goes out, I want to repair that, where I will be willing to take, you know, a fire or two.
Okay.
Just to give it time before I repair it. I don't want to be caught without my engines. That's generally just what I do with that.
Okay. Because usually I recommend engine room because, I mean, it's a 3%, like, wow, big, or 5% for fire and 3% for flood. So it's kind of like big whoop. Whereas this, it's a much better chance of protecting your stuff. If you take an AP salvo or something, the way I look at it is, if it protects my engine, my DCP is available for the next salvo or the next time it's something that hits. I understand what you're saying though, because if you have it like this, then you're not DCPing as many fires or floods is probably what you're thinking, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. The other thing I'm curious about is propulsion. Now, propulsion is a choice. Steering gears is another choice. I always look at my rudder shift time and maneuverability to determine which I prefer. 7 seconds. For cruisers, you want under 10 seconds. So 7 seconds is fine. It's actually pretty good. If you were to put the rudder shift on, you would go down to 5.76, so 5 3/4 seconds. But propulsion, if you play a lot of stop-go games, propulsion is definitely going to be your better choice. Okay?
Yep.
All right. Cthulhu doing the pulling a grunty and looking ahead at commander talents while we're still talking about the previous thing. Let's move on to your captain. This is Halsey. And you've gone with... Now, what is Halsey trained on?
Looks like Des Moines to me.
I think he's trained on my Annapolis, actually.
That makes sense too.
Super Des Moines. Yeah, sure. Why? Okay. So you've got him on your Des Moines, or Annapolis, so you don't have survivability. Interesting. Okay.
It makes
But
sense. It trades the survivability expert for the additional
Utility.
consumable duration and reload.
yeah, and he's got it's a utility build as opposed to survivability.
You,
Which, you know, if you're doing clan battles and stuff, is probably more important, frankly. Okay. So
it's not the captain I would use if it was dedicated for a Montpellier, but if you want to reuse Halsey and have him on the Annapolis, that's perfectly fine.
yeah, this is a heavy cruiser build. Light cruiser's slightly a little bit different, but anyway, so you've got grease the gears for a turret traverse, consumables enhancements for a longer duration, superintendent for more consumables, concealment, consumable specialist. I mean, that's just such a good skill now that Wargaming changed it recently. Gun feeder makes perfect sense here to change between AP and HE. Although this is one of those situations where having the light cruiser, you might not notice that impact as much. Adrenaline rush, of course, priority target, and then top grade gunner. Now there was a comment in chat by Cthulhu saying, "Hey, I always take last stand." You were mentioning earlier about how important it is to not lose your engine. Why do you not have last stand?
It's not built for a light cruiser.
Yeah, Annapolis doesn't need it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I probably should, because I don't really play my Annapolis all that much. I did not retrained it for clan battles forever ago. But this build with Halsey generally works pretty well for me with my Montpelier.
Okay. So the reason I'm highlighting this is so that, you know, later when people see this on YouTube, they can understand that, hey, this might be a good option for anybody who's looking to do this. That way they're not just looking at a print screening, okay, this is what I want to build for my ship. You know what I mean?
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, if you're talking dedicated, I'd probably drop the superintendent too and just take the survivability. Because like you don't have a healer, so it's you probably don't need superintendent on a Montpellier.
I like it for the radar. I like being utility built. So if I can use if I know that I have extra radars, I can use them in maybe less optimal situations because I know I will have them later on if I'm just trying to find somebody.
So let's move on to your signals then. You've got anti-det, both fire chance, speed, consumables, anti-air. Now, you didn't take the fire or flood burning time reduction. Why didn't you take like at least the fire one?
Don't know.
Okay.
Don't have a good answer for that.
Okay. You also have the boosted hydro and defensive anti-air, which makes sense. So if you don't like fires as much, to me this makes sense to just burn 20% less. If you're on one fire, you don't want to DCP it, so that saves you hit points, right?
Yeah, my only thought is
seconds.
it was just trying to save how many signals that I have right now.
And conservation of signals makes perfect sense too, especially if it's a random battle.
You're saving yourself about 700 hit points per fire if you take the flag on this particular ship.
Right. And again, you know, it's important to talk through these decisions and stuff. So that's why I'm asking you. All right, let's get into your replay then. As soon as I can find my right window. There we go. So, like I mentioned, you are divisioned up with your Harakaze buddy. That's Eddy.
Yep. And he's going to go and do some spotting for me.
Makes sense. Now, this is 8s and 6s and a couple 7s, so you are top tier. Congratulations.
Action stations.
You started moving and then you stopped. Probably to let your Harakaze buddy get in front more.
Let's give them a hard time.
Yes.
Okay.
I have a very bad tendency when I am at this position to overextend really early, so I was trying to not do that.
Sure. Yeah, and I can understand that. You hit W 4 times, and then before you know it, you're like a grid square too far in front. And you're like, whoops. I'm surprised though that you're having Eddy go that way instead of out to the 910 line.
Yeah, me too. Like, I would understand it if it was a domination battle and there was actually a cap there, but there isn't.
Yep.
So there is no real need to be there. And by going there and you following, that 9-10 line is wide open.
Also put you closer to the enemy carrier's planes, unless they spawn on the 910 line, which, as you can see here, didn't happen.
Well, I want to be close to planes because I'm a light cruiser,
Mm-hmm.
and I eat those up like snacks.
And this is true. My guess is you're trying to make your way to the island right by where those AP bombers are. Kind of like that typical cruiser spot.
I'll be honest, I don't know if I have a specific plan right now other than just to figure out where things are.
Why no defensive anti-air?
I didn't want to use it this early, and he just didn't feel like a threat to me right in that moment.
Okay.
Especially because I knew that the Hornet bombers wanted to go. I was in a good position where he probably wasn't going to hit me straight on, so I could, and I ended up dodging most of them. So
Makes sense. These were the AP bombers from the Hornet too that probably do very, very little to you. So I'd save the defensive fire for the plane types that can actually hurt you a lot.
Now for the Hornet, that's the carpet bombers, right? The tactical
Or
squadron.
the torps, like,
Or the torpedoes, right?
probably honestly more the torps because like the plane losses on the tacticals aren't really like they don't hurt the CV.
No. They don't. But those bombs can clear away his anti-air. Radar on to keep the Atago lit.
Stopping there in this broadside position.
I
Like, you're
mean,
not detected yet.
well, and that's why he's feeling okay doing it. I agree, it feels very tenuous. But
Like that, like
Okay.
your destroyer smoked up in front of you to farm too. Like if the CV just comes a little bit too close and spots you and there's any battleship behind, you might be in big trouble.
well, there's already a Kagura moving around down that 910 line.
So my plan after killing this was to go out and try and hunt the Kagura because I know is divvied up with the Akizuki.
I don't like that you're backing up to do it though. I think you're better off just moving forward so you have the momentum to turn and everything if you need to.
Yep. But then I get distracted because somebody thought this map was Two Brothers.
I see that. Zeton and Heinrich. Too bad you don't have torpedoes. Oh, well, no wonder. The captain's name is Mr. Jingles, so yeah, they definitely screwed up the map, right?
Rude.
No, it's not a rude thing. Jingles is well known for messing up and misidentifying ships. So...
Oh, really?
Yeah. Why do you think...
One thing Jingles is famous for.
Why do you think that the Jingles captain in the audio voiceover, when you detect like a cruiser, says enemy destroyer spotted? Stuff like that.
I haven't been pointing that long.
Yeah. Well, fortunately for you, both of those have left. Oh, they're divisioned. That's cute. That helps explain it.
So failed division of German battleships charging down the middle, donating hit points.
Yeah,
That
but
sounds about right.
Yep. So don't do that.
yeah, don't do that. And Zeton does manage to kill the Amalfi and Nottingham. Does take Nottingham torpedoes because I guess didn't have hydro running. I mean, two German battleships that both have hydro, so it's kind of weird, but okay.
I think the Nottingham was that close that there was...
No chance to dodge. That's a possibility too. He did look pretty close. Aha, there's two destroyers over on that flank. The Akizuki and Kagura were there.
I mean, they're diffed.
Yes, they
I
are.
don't like how you're running away from that while your destroyer is trying to light these two up.
Yeah, again, my plan originally was to go out there. That's what I told him I was gonna go do. But then I saw again
Squirrel.
the paid actors going up
Ooh,
the middle.
piece of candy.
And,
Ooh, piece of candy.
Yeah.
I gotta call that.
Specifically, is this game I am trying to get credits because I'm low and I want to make sure I have enough for the double reset for the Research Bureau coming up.
Okay.
It would be even more sense to go after these destroyers.
Yes, it would. But I saw a lot. I saw just a lot of HP over here, and I wanted to go and farm it.
Now, when you look at the mini-map, there's one saving grace here, and that is the fact that all 3 of your battleships that are over there on the south are all leaving the Kagero Akizuki anyways. So the nice thing about that is you don't have to worry about them getting themselves killed by those 2 destroyers. I wouldn't
That's true.
I wouldn't have Eddy so far
Yes.
away, but
Like his game is basically ruined here. He can't fight the Kagero plus Akizuki,
no, all he can do
And
is
he's
just
not
torpedo
getting-
and pray.
and he's not getting anything done there, right? Like
Oh wait,
best
look,
case scenario
look at the
is he
Kagero.
spots those DDs, but nobody shoots them because nobody's close anymore.
Right, look at the
He's totally
Kagero.
wasting his-
Kagero is north of the channel. He's going to torpedo the King George V and give you a time extension, which is nice of him. So Yaki is probably with him too then.
So something else that I also noticed as I'm pushing up very aggressively through the middle here with the rest of my ships is the 2 battleships that are way out on the side and just like not.
2 Colorados.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would be pushing up there because there is the potential for your team getting flanked. Like you're all concentrated in the middle, except for Eddy.
Iron Meals,
this is a
your comment about credits is so what he's saying is he's going to reset the line. There's a double that's coming up soon. And so he wants to reset the line, but he also wants to free XP several of the ships, and so you need the credits to be able to buy your way up the ship tree.
Like you lose about, like even if you play the ships, you lose credits on the reset about maybe 40 million, 50 million. Depends
Right.
how many games you play.
So those are the 2 sinks with the Research Bureau. One is XP, because especially if you're going to spend free XP, and then the other is credits.
Anti-aircraft gun crews are on normal alert.
Right, you don't have to buy ships if you buy the free XP, exactly. So that's why it's a credit or sink for both of those
I mean, you
resources.
still
But
have
you
to buy the
won't
ships if you want
eventually
the
will-
XP from the whole line, right? Or the research bureau points.
Yeah, once you want to collect the Research Bureau points. So that's where I'm at right now is I need to collect.
Okay,
So I want to make sure that I have enough credits to do so.
right.
Especially because the reset happens
Torpedoes
not
direct fire.
that much long before the end of the Kitakami event.
See, I don't understand your play here right now. You said you wanted to farm the damage, but you're actively running away from the damage that is left.
Yeah, I would have thought you'd go towards the Colorados and farm them as well.
Like, realistically, you're not capping this out in a stand-up battle against the DDs and the CV.
Which is also
But
fine.
I did notice that. So one is I noticed that the Kagero was in the cap, so he hung around. And that the Akizuki was also very close, so I was able to get within radar range, and then he very kindly just went out of his smoke.
Yeah. So cool, you got Confederate now. LOL.
You're still not capping. Why are you not radaring?
I was
You have
waiting
to-
to get
yeah.
my gun around.
Yeah, that makes sense. The other thing too is, I suppose doing this, you're farming, but what you're farming is plane kills more than anything else. Which is fine. If the Hornet wants to donate all that to you, that's cool.
And
I guess
I am gonna eat those planes up.
right. I guess the big thing for you is you need to be thinking, I have to get out of this cap, right? Like you don't want to be sitting in here for the next 2 minutes. You want to threaten the cap so the carrier keeps, you know, trying to come after you, but there's no need for you to actually cap.
I would actually cap because there's a high chance your destroyer is just gonna cap it, so I would just sit in
Anti-aircraft gun crews
there
are on
too and
normal
get
alert.
the XP.
Yeah, so I eventually thought about, can I try and win harder, or do I want the cap XP? And especially because this Hornet didn't seem very good, because he just keeps whiffing on me. That I was just, and the Colorados were kind of far away. Like I'll be able to shoot a little bit at one of them, but
You push too far up to farm the battleships now. So getting the cap XP and some plane kills is probably the best you can do at this point.
Hey, look, you got a time extension. Well, 35 seconds until you cap out. Dr. A, I'm not quite sure what the prize pool is off the top of my head. If you type ! classic though, you can see all the information about it. A defense expert, lol. So nice of the Hornet to run away too.
Your compass. Is it one of the mods that doesn't work for you?
My compass?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I just have it turned off. I don't know. I mean, you don't really need a compass. You know, if you have a general idea of your angle to somebody else with the navigator mod, then whatever.
I was looking for the priority sectoring and stuff like this, but which shows on the compass.
Oh.
yep. And so as you can see, I achieved my goal of earning credits.
1.6 million credits.
Can't believe the Hornet donated that many planes to you.
Of course he did. Well, I mean, you know, he's in the cap. You know?
I mean, he even donated planes before he was in the cap.
So one big mistake that he made was that he kept on trying to get his resets off on the destroyer instead of on me.
Right. Right. I saw at least 2 drops go right past you, and one of them he did hit the destroyer quite nicely, though. But yeah, I mean, you shot down quite a bit of planes. 28 of his bombers.
And I did 116,000 AA damage. So that was the other thing for me, is that when I'm playing in the Montpelier, I want a CV because it's something I know I can do a lot of damage to planes with.
So one question then, why didn't you ask Eddy to play a carrier?
I didn't want to ask him to sacrifice that much.
Okay. Fair enough.
I think he also had picked the ship first.
Okay. I'm just saying that's one way that you guarantee a carrier is you have your divmate play a carrier. One time I ran into somebody, this is way back in the old RTS style days, and this guy was divisioned up with a carrier, and he wasn't running defensive anti-air fire in his American destroyer. And I'm like, why don't you have DFAA on? He's like, because I never see carriers. I'm like, dude, you're in a division with a carrier. Hello. It is what it is.
Hello. What I miss?
Welcome back.
Farming Hornet planes. That's what you missed.
You're welcome, Dr. Dre.
Excellent.
Yeah, nice game. So I think we'll title this one Squirrel. Because I mean that's really what it is.
I do have ADHD, so yes, that does work. But yeah, there was also some definite misplays by the enemy team. Don't play this map like it's two brothers, and then the two Colorados that just stay on the 1-2 line basically the entire game, even as we were pushing up into the map.
I mean,
Yes, Bach.
like if you look at these Colorados, I mean, now they're turning away, but they were actually pushing forward quite aggressively. Their problem was they're Colorados, so they're slow.
And I think the bigger problem is everybody else died around them.
Yeah, their Avieri pushed so far ahead into the Mercury and died, and like,
Right.
I was like, that enemy team had a couple of questionable players. Let's just say it like that.
Exactly. So then it's like, now what? You know?
Just like every randoms battle that's ever existed.
Well, I was gonna say I've been that Colorado, right? Like I'm like, okay, guys, I'm here. Let's go. Let's do this. And like everybody around you is already dead, and you're just like, oh my god, why did it take me 5-10 minutes just to get here?
Right, but
and
you
pushing
did it
into a Brandenburg now too, like, which is not fun.
No,
You did it in the original Colorado.
that's correct.
I'm here. I still can't shoot anybody or accurately
That's
hit
right.
them.
That's right. All right. Well, thanks for sending that one in, Treesock. That was fun to look at and talk through decision making and all that. So.
Yep. Thanks for the feedback as always.
Sure. God, I can't help but think about how hilarious it would have been if you got to like Delta 3 and you're just basically right in front of the Hornet and just shooting down all his planes right as they take off. You want to talk about farming?
Yeah, that was what my thought was, but again, it was at that point we were gonna get the cap. I could leave it, and it would happen eventually. But
yeah, I mean, he still shot down all the planes while getting the cap XP.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, like, that's if you're going for plane kills, that's just like that's the holy grail, right? Is just parking yourself right in front of. We saw SAT do that once in a destroyer, just shooting down planes because it's fun, you know? Like, ay. All right, so we're gonna go to our Stream Raider screen again.